Yes. Exactly.
All right, kids, are we ready to go?
I think
Good, Ashley. Good evening, folks. Thank you all for coming out to the March Board of Supervisors meeting. We do have a quorum. We'll start the meeting. If y'all will stand and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mark.
Fill the Lord in prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful weather. Thank you for everyone who has joined us here this evening. And thank you for Team Amelia. Thank you for the new hires and the potential new hires. Lord, I pray for this team, both new and old, as we strive to do what's best for our community. Lord, I pray for guidance and direction as we make decisions for this county and seek your will in all we do. Lord, I lift up tonight's meeting, the upcoming budget, and all the upcoming community events. I pray over any tensions that may be in the air. I pray for a happy and or content resolutions on such matters, and that we may be able to move forward in a peaceful, positive way. Lord, I want to thank you for this opportunity for Team Amelia to not only serve this community, but to serve you as well. I lift up each and every one here listening this evening and watching, and any unspoken prayer requests, and for traveling mercies as we leave here tonight. I ask this thing in His holy precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Morris. All right, again, folks, thank you for coming out. One of the first pretty evenings we've had to sit outside. Thank y'all for coming in here and joining us. That brings us to the approval of the agenda or amendments. I have a couple. There'll be no need for a closed session tonight. We'd like to add to have a discussion on an emergency vehicle and add committee appointments. Does anybody else have any?
We have to do anything like a workshop, budget workshop or anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Are we doing that after the meeting? No, we talked about it.
A budget workshop?
Another one. I didn't
We,
know if
we
that's-
can talk about another one. We'll probably present the budget to you probably the first or second week of April. I think I'll know a little bit more next week about it, but you will need to do another budget workshop. I'm just not sure the timing yet.
We'll add to the agenda at the end, maybe right prior to your report, we'll do a budget discussion.
Yes,
Tell us where we're at.
and Ms. Yusuf will give you a budget update as well.
Okay.
And we'll do it whenever you're ready, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anybody else have any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the amendments.
So moved.
Motion on the floor to approve with the 4 amendments. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Brings us to the consent agenda. Any questions or comments about the consent agenda? I have one. On the LAC committee appointments, one of them is a reappointment and the other is a new appointment. I think we need to hold the new appointment until Mr. Easter can discuss this with Mr. Amos and provide a resume. So if I can get a motion to approve the consent agenda with that one, would delete Mr. Amos from District 4 at this time.
So moved.
Motion on the floor to move with the consent agenda with the one deleted item. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Brings us to the public comment time. I think I forgot anything. Please state your name and address. Try to keep it to 3 minutes or so.
Got the 3 minutes covered. My name is Diane Smith, 13301 Bent Creek. At the monthly Board of Supervisors meetings, we're given the monthly financial report for the Amelia County School System. This report includes the percentages of expenditures. In my opinion, however, the percentages are meaningless without dollar figures. The report would be more meaningful if the dollar amount were attached to a given percentage. For example, 20% of 200,000 is $40,000. 20% of $2 million is $400,000. Notice the percentages are the same, but the results are much different and more meaningful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Robert C. Smith, 13301 Bent Creek Road, here in Amelia. I got a suggestion for you. A lot of people, people in the Commonwealth do this. They have their election for the reorganization, their boards and councils every election year. So when you have elect the chairman, he would serve for 2 years. That would give him a chance to, if he comes in with any projects, as slow as government moves, he may stand a chance to get at least one step forward on that. Just for your consideration. The other thing that bothers me a little bit is we have people that we have votes and nobody will vote. Somebody won't vote. Won't say why they're not voting. You guys were elected to do the business of the county. That means you got to make some decisions. The way I was brought up, the only reason you didn't vote on something was if you had a conflict of interest. And that usually meant some monetary thing that you were involved in. If you don't state the purpose of you're not voting, the people in the community will make it up for you. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've heard on a 3-2 vote, well, why those 2 guys vote no? Oh, because the other 3 voted for it. And that goes all around, you know. So if you don't tell them, if you don't tell us, somebody's going to fill the void and make up something. So that's my advice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Hello, Martin Conkle, 16211 Church Street. I got a few things. Been busy past month, but a few positive things, which I think are, good to share. Sometimes we don't get a lot of that. This is the first year I was actually able to make it out to the tractor parade. I just want to give credit where credit's due. And that's to Dexter Jones for coming up with that idea a few years ago. And I think it'd be great. Take it what you want, just my suggestion. If maybe a resolution could be passed in the future one day, so it's always known as Dexter's Tractor Parade, to give credit to the man who came up with the idea. I just want to throw that out there because I think it was great. It's amazing. And I like to actually give credit where it's due. And that's a good little positive thing. I did also meet with the fire board meeting, the fire board president and treasurer. I was looking at the financial tax returns of the organization, and there's $700,000 sitting in their savings account. And that kind of concerned me because we went through this big financial crisis. The county was broke. We had no money, yet there was, this much money of pretty much county funds sitting in this organization's account. I understand, going back, it was a buildup for them to purchase a fire truck for the county. And I got to say first, the positive thing out of that is this is one of the first times I got to say I actually sat down with one of these organizations around here. And I actually felt like it was actually in good hands. I was actually left there a bit impressed. With that being said, though, I look at things very black and white. And legally, that organization, 501c, is its own separate entity. And we have put ourselves in a bad position with this county, EMS, fire, etc., by giving so much funding, no questions asked, and allowing these separate legal entities to make decisions on our behalf with our money. I understand they're doing a good job. I don't think they would do anything any other way. But if something bad happens, we've put ourselves in a bad position as a county, and we need to bring back that control and that money and manage our own assets and make those purchasing decisions from the county, not relying on these separate organizations to do it for us. So I hope going forward, you know, we didn't have such a good thing going with EMS a few years ago. You know, we had to step in, things are better. You know, something one day could happen with the fire. I think it's in better hands. I think it's in good hands. But we need to keep that in mind. Second, I want to talk about the 2025 budget because I've been busy starting with that. And I did want to say I sent an email, and I know y'all been busy about the personnel breakdowns. Yeah, I went back. I did realize that's not how a lot of counties do it. They did as they do. Our past financial director would lump sum it in a department personnel cost. But I think the position we have been in this county, I think we do need to take a step back. I think we need to take a big look at the big picture. And I think having that data, which should be submitted by each department of each position's cost, not just say treasurer's office, this much for personnel, but position 1, position 2. I think that data is very crucial, and we need to take a harder look at some things than we have in the past. But I don't think it's necessarily a flaw. Going back, I do realize that's how a lot of counties do it. I just think we need to take a look at it a little better. But I did want to say, because last time when we talked about financials, about how good our taxes are, we're running 46 real estate tax, 435 personal property. Powhatan's running personal property tax of 360. Chesterfield County is $1 lower than us, 335 personal property. Nottoway is lower real estate tax by a cent, and their personal property is only 375. And Goochland's personal property tax is 375, and their real estate tax is only 53 cents, not much more than us. So the days of, hey, we got these great low taxes in Amelia, those are over, because while we've been having to raise taxes, these other localities around us have been going in the opposite direction. So I really hope that's taken into consideration. We don't go in this 2025 budget with the idea that, oh, we're okay, we can raise taxes a little bit more, because we're still pretty good, because we're not anymore. And I think that needs to be reined in a little bit. At least these other counties, I'm fine with not having a lot of nice things in the county with low taxes. We're paying more in taxes on personal property, and we don't even have a lot of nice things that these other counties have. So I think that all needs to be taken into consideration. That's why this year, I'm going to spend many hours, many weeks, and probably next few months, I'm going to put together my own 2025 budget based off the data you guys get. I'm going to present to you a turnkey solution to this county on a silver platter. Y'all can do with it what you want. I'm going to say here, it's how we can run the county more effective, more efficiently. I have the goal of lowering our real estate tax by 4 cents and our personal property tax by 75 cents. That's my goal with the budget this year that I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to hand it to you guys, and y'all can do whatever you want with it. But better yet, I challenge each and every one of you on this board that have been elected. I know you don't make a lot, but you do get paid a little bit, to actually come up with something even better than me. So that's the challenge I'm putting out to each one of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Allison Cruz, and I live at the Assola Landfill on Perkinson Road. I just wanted to come tonight to say that I'm thankful for the increased tipping fees that I learned this week that the county is now receiving as an update as of February. So I just happened to learn that from Royce. And so I still am trying to wrap my head around. I know that there is in the contract a part that talks about upping, but I just don't know who is checking that. Is it voluntary from Waste Management? Is it something, because I know our chairman of the Landfill Advisory Committee, Brendan Burke, had made a suggestion of a third party looking at the books of both sides so that we know that everything is copacetic. So, and I do trust that those updates will be reflected in proper documents. I know I can look at the solid waste agreement on the website now, and it does not have even last year's updates. So I also, I thought I would get to meet Colonel Lemiss tonight, coming on to the Landfill Advisory Committee, and I look forward to making his acquaintance. And I was just curious for him and for our oncoming county administrator, if there would be any onboarding for them, just to get them up to speed. I know that Todd, you and Dexter both took a tour when you came on, and I think that was helpful just to lay eyes on it, and it's changed a lot since then. I was also going to invite the community to the next Landfill Advisory Committee meeting, which is Good Friday, April 19th at 9 a.m. right in here. If you can't make it, you can watch it on YouTube. And I was also going to invite everybody to follow Friends of Maplewood Landfill, because that's a page on Facebook that tries to keep everybody updated, and just hope we still work on a streamlining support system to be able to report the stink and to document that just for everybody's health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have some? Anybody else? All right, I'll close the public hearing, public comments.
Ms. Smith, do you mind following up with Todd and I after the meeting on your comment about the school's percentages? Because in our board packets, we have those actual dollar amounts for all the percentages. So I just want to make sure you're looking at the same page as we are, and we're the two representatives on finance. So we'll just want to follow up with you afterwards to make sure we get that. Because your request makes, I mean, it's reasonable, but what we see has the amount, so that's make sure we're looking at the same stuff. So, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Worley?
Good evening. To provide an update on our area headquarters monthly activities, a lot of their emphasis this month has been on pothole patching and then tree debris from the winter storms. We've got a lot of it down, particularly in the western part of the county, that we're trying to get cleaned up before mowing season in particular. They've also done some repairs of holes in shoulders on 360, so adding some millings to those areas where we had some potholes on the shoulders. For traffic studies and special requests, the farm equipment signage has been installed now on Reed Rock, Genito, and Folksbridge roads. At Route 38 and 614 intersection, trees have been marked for removal to increase sight distance. Our area headquarters is removing some of the smaller brush this week, and then the larger trees that have been marked will be removed by our contractor the next time we issue a task order to them, probably a little bit later this spring. And then I'll just add that Mr. Morris asked me this evening to look at a potential safety study at that intersection due to folks running the stop sign there. So we'll take a look at that and see if there's a crash pattern. And then we are still reviewing a request for a private road addition to the state system to see if it qualifies for our rural addition program. For a construction update, surface treatment schedule, they should be starting pavement marking eradication later this month, but don't plan to actually start surface treatment operations until late July is their current schedule. And those are the updates I have this evening, unless there are questions. Yes, sir.
We were in our budget meeting the other day. We brought up the sidewalk project. The most recent we've heard is you're still planning to start that in the summer. We know you've been doing the preliminary markings and all that kind of stuff. Is that
Yes,
still
sir.
your understanding?
It is. I can get an actual update from the project manager on the schedule start.
That might be
And
good.
email
It's
that.
getting
Mhm.
closer and we keep getting questions.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
I'd just like to thank you for the pothole repair, because they did one blowout on Amazon Road. And then like 2 days later, it was blowed back out, but they fixed it, so we didn't have to call. I appreciate that.
There's a lot of them around.
Yeah.
There are. It's a battle right now.
Anybody else got anything? Thank you, Ms. Worley.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind, my bad.
Just waiting. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Monday. Our end of February K-12 enrollment was 1,500, pre-K 12 enrollment was 1,572, and ADM was 1,513. At the March school board meeting, our Southside Virginia Regional Technology Consortium technology winners were recognized. The 2025 Amelia Technology Teacher winner was Elizabeth Poe from the elementary school. The 25 Amelia Instructional Technology Support winner was Laura Holder from the elementary school. And the 25 Amelia Technology Support winner was Amber Moore from the high school. These individuals were recognized today at an SVRTC banquet. Also, during the March meeting, the school board approved an MOU with Head Start, a lease with the Russell Grove Association, an SSO grant, and policy updates. Spring break is coming, and I hope the weather stays as nice as it was today. Amelia County Public Schools will be closed from Monday, March 31st through April 4th, with students returning on Monday, April 7th. In your packet, you have the February financial reports, and Mr. Crump will share those as well as a revised appropriation request.
Good evening. Tonight I'm sharing with you the February FY25 finance reports. To be meeting our goals, operating revenues and expenditures should be at about 59.93%. We were very close to that figure at 57.05%. In the textbook fund, expenditures remain at 4.07%. Funds 4 and 5 for all new construction are at 42.82% and 2.35% respectively. And in the cafeteria fund, expenditures are at 33.44%. As you know, the school board voted to approve the proposed FY26 budget for ACPS at their latest meeting, and the documentation has been communicated to the county finance director and county administrator. The proposal is very closely aligned with the previous versions presented to the school board and the board of supervisors, as the calculations template released by the Department of Education in the first week of March largely confirmed the previous numbers shared by VDOE and used for ACPS budgeting. The budget proposal includes $7,488,065 in revenue proposed to come from the county, of which $91,162 represents the required county contribution to the textbook fund. The total for revenues and expenditures in the budget is now $26,118,375, a reduction of $1,467 from the last budget we presented to you. This change in total funding is due to a change in the calculation for the school breakfast incentive revenue from the state that was listed in the calculations template. And as you know, school nutrition is the one place where we're expected to operate at a surplus, so we can be a fully self-sustaining enterprise. So the change in that budgeted amount has no material effect on any other funding area. The local funding requested in this budget is aligned with the most recent Department of Education estimates for required local effort and match, meaning simply that what is requested from the locality is the minimum local contribution required to receive full available state funding. For your approval tonight, I do have one appropriation request, but I can wait for questions if you have any before moving on.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So for your approval tonight is a revision of a previous appropriation request for state security grant funds. As you recall, the state security grant awarded a total of $250,000 in state funds to ACPS for security upgrades in all 3 schools. This exceeded our budgeted award of $75,000 by $175,000. If you actually look in the budget, one of the issues we had was that we didn't anticipate such a large award 2 years in a row. This next year's budget incorporates the full amount of that award in the case that it, is awarded, a 3rd year in a row, which would be fantastic. It would make that a little bit simpler. Previously, ACPS also requested additional funds from the county to support the increased local matching requirement. That was based on projections in December, a bit earlier in the year, but at this point, This revision, we are comfortable removing that request. Instead, additional local matching funds are now available through reductions in other expenditures that were projected for the year. That's all I have.
All right. Any questions, gentlemen?
Mr. Chairman, I have one.
Yes, sir.
Monday in a meeting, it was a parent of one of our students brought to my attention that their child plays sports in the high school. The school can't afford to give them a jerseys. The proper jerseys. Let me get that data right. And that's all I know. He said they can't afford them. And I'm sitting there going, whoa.
So we do,
Change.
You talking baseball?
I'm not saying no more so they can figure out who, but you know who I'm talking about.
so our school athletic department does have an athletic replacement cycle for all uniforms.
Yeah.
And so if there is a uniform that is not available or hasn't been purchased under the cycle, I would really like a parent to let me know, because I'm sure the high school will address that.
Okay.
So there should be appropriate uniforms for all sports.
Yeah, because I remember back when I was in high school playing baseball and whatever and all, we got a uniform.
I can, sir, I can promise you that there has not been a purchase order or sent to my desk for that purchase that has been denied. So I understand, I think quite often you understand how much we've been asked to be cautious with funds and be protective of funds. At times, I can say that, coaches, teachers often kind of presuppose, well, they don't think it's going to happen, but trust me, if they ask and the questions are asked and funds are available, they get spent.
I just told them I'd address the issue. And
Yes, sir.
yeah, that's it.
And I know who to follow up with next. I appreciate it.
There you go.
Gentlemen, what's the pleasure on the appropriation?
I make a motion that we approve it.
Okay. The amount of 175,000?
Yes.
Okay, gentlemen's motion on the floor to appropriate 175,000 to the school for a security grant. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'd also like to thank Mr. Monday for his time in Amelia County and working with the schools as well as the Board of Supervisors. So thank you very much for your service to Amelia.
Thank you.
We're gonna miss him too. If we let you leave.
Hold it down, Todd. Don't
I know.
let you get too big and start playing more ads.
I need some oxygen. The head's swelling up.
Yours.
All right,
Your love.
Thank you.
financial presentation from Miss, can't say her last name,
Yusuf.
Miss Pawn.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Mr. Monday. How are you all doing?
Good.
Very good. Let me launch my PowerPoint.
See, we got a new version.
Tonight's update will be to provide the board with follow-up questions from the last meeting. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Let me just maximize it.
See that? Okay.
There are a lot of numbers, but they are in black and white, straightforward. The first question, if I recall correctly, the question was, what is included in the CIP fund balance? So what I have done here is to provide the composition of what funds got rolled into CIP and how money came about and how we spend the fund and how CIP is being formulated. Currently, based on FY24, the last report that was approved and audited, we were at 14.7 million, including liabilities. Without the 1.6 million, we were at 13 almost 2, 13.2. So for FY 25, as of March 18, a few days ago, the CIP, we now have 10.8 million left in CIP. And from the decount, we have about 1.2 for the collective total of close to 12 million. Any questions there? At the bottom of the page, I show how the money came in. And the next page, it will show what we spend the money on. So over here is by project, how much we spent so far for the year. So 3.6 million was spent this year in FY 25. The next question is on the debt service payment. We have a few small debt service issuances. Yes? Did I hear questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, very good. Question number 2, which debt service will be retired in FY 26? There are 2, if you were to zoom in on the upper right-hand column, there are 2 VRA that will be paid off sometime in FY 26. So we have the one that was issued in the amount of 1.4 million. So as you see, I highlighted in peach that amount. Once we make that payment, that loan will be fully mature. And the one to the far right also will be done as well in FY 26. Side agencies. So thank you, Councilmember Easter. So we went back to May 15 agenda items along with supporting documentation. So we managed to identify 307,000. Actually, one amount was missing from here. I just found out before I got onto the meeting. It's a small amount of $1,134 that was approved in FY 25. So it was collectively in 25, the board approved 307, almost 300,000 and some change. For this year in FY 26, that the board had gone through, the amount committed to be awarded is a little bit higher than last year by $44,906. The one I highlighted in yellow are those that we did not any appropriation in 25. The next question, I was asked to verify to see if there are duplicate records. Indeed, there were, so I have removed them accordingly. Question number 5, per the COMBOARD letter, it appeared that 6% increase will be awarded to dispatchers that we have. Currently, based on information that I have from Human Resources, we have collectively about 10 dispatchers. So I calculated that 6% to be roughly $28,235. So I have included that amount in the budget model for FY 26. Question number 6, workers' compensation has gone up, and I just tried to be precise and just down to the point as to why they increased. Primarily, the year-over-year increase was due to updated payroll information as provided to the Virginia Corporation, along with the newly created Fire Emergency Services. Over here, it just more to add color to the previous slide in terms of how what is the basis of the calculation. It's a function of payroll, and by the nature of the positions, how risky each position is, and the rate will be varied as you can see on here. FY26, since the last time we met, I have updated based on additional information and better information. For FY26 revenue estimate, we still stand firm on 26.6 million. And I have updated through the collection that I have seen as of the end of February and a few weeks into March. So the number has not changed much. I had shared this version in the last meeting, and that number still stands correct. So 6% increase I have gone through and shared with the board. And the next few items that I have updated is on the we had worked very closely with fire emergency management to reconsider moving any big ticket items that is part of the CIP to be moved to CIP. That amount happened to be $396,000 on all the equipment that they had proposed. So another new item that I just learned yesterday, so finance had added $75,000 related to Bright IBM software support. Without it, we will not be able to use or function financially. And the IBM is due to be not supported in January of 2026. Lastly, a new update to the budget module. When new hired, we recently hired a planning director, a library director, and we also had a new county administrator that have updated any information that deemed necessary for the year of FY26. What is the next step in our budget?
While you're there on that one, did y'all get reconciled on the, remember they were showing two different positions for planning? You know, so basically we said it was double.
Yes, sir, I did.
We fixed it.
Okay, because that, yeah, I mean, that plus the solving the costs with the outside agencies, I mean, those two together should be close to 450 or so thousand right there. Well, I know, I'm saying just those two things. Okay. Yeah.
Very good. You are going to see in subsequent slides that our deficit relative to the amount of revenue that we can anticipate to collect had shrunk down significantly.
Yeah.
The next step in our budget calendar, we are now in mid-March already. I cannot believe it. But anyway, for early March, first of all, we anticipated to do budget balancing. It didn't happen. So it's still not too late. So this morning, Mr. Manet and I, we had a regroup in terms of what is the next step. So starting next week, we will get together on a more daily basis to take a real look at our budget 26 on how best we can balance the budget without raising taxes. So we will try our very best to come up with the best way and options to propose to the board. On here is the snapshot of the revenue estimate for FY26. At the bottom right, you can see the amount is still stand firm at 26.6 million. I will continue monitoring the revenue as more information is coming in each day, each week. Thank you. And here, this is the screen, the report that I referred to briefly earlier. The top section is on General Fund 100. The yellow highlight on the 100 total show how much deficit we have as we stand right now. We are short by about 1.9 million. So we will try our very best to see how we can balance the budget. And in terms of the CIP, we will need to leverage the committed fund that have not been used. And for sanitary district fund, we will provide a further update next week the first part of April, once we have firm up the information. That's all I have in terms of budget update. If you have any questions for me, I can try to entertain those.
So I think the biggest outstanding thing you answered, thank you. You answered a ton of questions here plus offline between the last meeting and here. I think the biggest outstanding thing that I could think of without going through all the notes is looking for that list of positions that are either on hold or newly requested, like the sum. Does that make sense? Or was that provided somewhere? And I know we've got a lot of papers last week.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I know we've been working daily trying to update the personnel sheets and everything
And
else.
I'm not
And
pushing. I just
you
want to
wanted
make sure we're on the same page with it. Yeah, it's not a problem.
Yes, sir. So that is one step that we have left, is to try to make them make more sense like that, but you are correct.
Yeah. Again, I know you've done a ton. It's not a complaint. Sorry, I should have phrased it better. Just making sure we're on the same page with that's outstanding. I mean, miss it. So
Understood. Thank you. And we know the numbers shift a lot. And, you know, we find that almost daily, we find out something that we didn't know before. And what Ms. Yusuf is explaining is really starting the end of this week, Monday morning, we're going to lock the budget down. We're not going to do anything else to it, because once we start balancing it, we can't keep chasing numbers. So we'll get everything together to try to make a reasonable recommendation to you when we present the budget. And Ashley will be contacting you probably sometime middle to the end of next week to look at your calendars. And we're thinking that we'll present the budget to you the first or second week of April. And it would probably be the latter part of the first week or sometime in the second week of April is when we think we'll have the budget ready and present it to you at a public meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Once again, you've put a lot of work into it. We appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome. Shall I go to the next update on financial?
Yes.
Okay, it's going to be brief. I have 4 slides to share with you. Let me just launch my PowerPoint. Okay, for the month of February, I tried to present this time differently. So again, the emphasis is on revenue collection and the expenditure spending for year to date, including the most current month, meaning February. So over here, I have shown 2 different line items here. I mean, 2 lines that go across budget versus actual. We are 3 quarters into the year, meaning 75% into the year. That means that we should, based on the budgeted amount of the revenue of 25.2 million, we expect to collect only 18 million, but thus far we have collected over 24.5 million. So we are looking good there. We did much better. It's a broken record. Every meeting I mentioned that. So for our revenue, we are indeed above plan. We have only slightly 4% left to collect. So, but we are not done with the year yet, but we have come very, very far. So the first slide here is more on percentages. And the next one is on absolute dollar amount. The blue line with blue numbers, they are for budget numbers, and the orange, they are the actual information. So the next screen, this one you have seen before, is more a comparative of 2 months, January versus February, in terms of how we spend our payment to vendors and our employees. So for the month of January, we spend more to vendors due to the launch, due to a big bill that we got from Motorola related to the radio system. In terms of payroll, is very, very linear. Now, lastly, on okay, this one I probably included twice. Sorry about that. It's
Can you
their
go back?
revenue
I'm
is
sorry.
supposed to be.
I apologize. You go back to, two, where you got the percentages. So you're doing percentages of the total or
Yes, meaning the local relative to the total of all sources of funds. And those include local, federal, and state, and a small amount transfers. If that is not a good way to do the percentages, please let me know. There are a lot of ways to look at things, but this is one of the ways. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yeah, you answered it. I think I was originally expecting it like as a percentage of like where they were for the year, kind of based on what you, okay, I got you.
I have those on a separate report, the one that you normally get. Over here, I just present differently.
Okay, but.
The reason I want to emphasize relative to the total, this is to emphasize the fact that local funding is very essential. And we will depend very heavily on the treasurer's office to do all of the collection and the hard work on that. So 3 quarters, whether we are talking about FY25 or upcoming FY26, we have to focus very heavily on the local taxes and local funding.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Very good. And somehow I must apologize. I don't know how I messed that up. Right here, expenditures. So I switched the order. So expenditures, we are slightly above because due to the nature of items that we had to spend money on, we have to front load. So we cannot really like divide evenly by 12. Like, hey, the first month we're going to spend only 1/12 of the year. So it doesn't work that way. This is just to show in terms of calculation on percentages, it's the same way relative to the total. But I tried to break down into 7 major functions because I cannot fit 58 different functions and departments into here. It will be too much and overcrowded. And over here, same type of information as presented on revenue, but on expenditure side. That's all I have to share. Any questions for me?
Any more questions for Ms. Pond?
Good.
No, ma'am. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you very much. I'm going to check out now.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Seems like it gets more detailed every time we look at it. Anybody got any questions, comments about that? You ever need staff to look into?
Real quick.
Sure.
So just to address a couple comments from earlier tonight. So citizens are aware, we do get detail that's more than what just comes out in the public meeting. So for example, throughout the year, we have access to plenty of data that shows at the individual employee level and breakdown. We get that whenever we want and in multiple different ways. And then there was comments, a lot of positive comments about the fire department, which I definitely agree with. I want to add to that there is tremendous coordination with Ken Emerson and that team from the county standpoint, purchasing and others that should address all those kind of concerns. Then while they're accurate statements, of course, around the tax rates for surrounding counties, if you look at a lot of what's going on with those, including like Chesterfield announcing they were going to drop their tax rates by a penny. The primary reason almost all of them stayed, including Chesterfield within the last week, is because of the tremendous growth within their counties. So the growth is fueling tremendous new money coming in. And I think that's, that becomes a choice that we make, and look forward to seeing. I know where I stand on it. I've said that many, many times. I'm not for that level of growth that it would take. And I think that's where most of our citizens will stand as well. Look forward to seeing the consolidated results from the comprehensive plan surveys as we go through the comprehensive planning. But those are choices that we make. The more you grow, your tax base can absorb and does bring in more revenue. But
More people too.
yes. So, and that's what's got, that's what Chesterfield and others, Nottaway, Buckingham, Powhatan, all have a good bit of that going on. So, again, choices.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, one of the things I wanted to point it out to you on page 181 in your board packets, 181 through 183. What the staff has been doing is taking the feedback that we get from our annual audits. And we told you that we would take that feedback and bring back some policies to you to show you that we're trying to make continuous improvements in the finance department. The one the finance staff has been working on for the past month is on year-end accruals. And you notice that that's been noted in some parts of our audit before. This one's still in the draft form right now. Ms. Youssef and Ms. Wright have been working on this. They'll be firming that up pretty soon, but last month we brought you a policy on accounts payable, and we'll continue to try doing that as time evolves. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thanks, staff. All right, any more financial questions, comments, concerns? All right, we'll move on. Brings us to an appropriation request for overpayment of taxes. Commonwealth Forest Products. Mr. Monday, can you give us any information on this?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The Commissioner of Revenue notified our office in a request that the board refund an amount to a local business who overpaid their taxes. And one might ask how that might happen. The commissioner, of course, she has confidentiality regulations of, she can tell specific things about the taxpayer, but really what happened is the taxpayer, I think, used a higher rate for all the business transactions that they reported, and they just simply overpaid their taxes. And, we're required to refund that when it happens. When it gets to a certain level, the board has to take that action. The commissioner doesn't have the authority. And this exceeded that threshold. So the commissioner has certified that the county is due to refund those amounts to the taxpayer. And in your board packet, it states that amount is $5,445.25.
Thank you, Mr. Monday. What's the board's pleasure?
Make a motion to authorize the refund in the amount of $5,445.25 for taxes overpaid as stated in the request.
Thank you, Mr. East. Motion on the floor to make the appropriation. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All right, gentlemen, that brings us to our committee reports. Mr. Robinson.
PSR last night. DPMT was last month after the day after the board meeting. Everything's basically been the same. I attend that one tomorrow.
Mr. East.
Generally standard meetings as well. Appreciate the comments about the tractor parade and the barn bash, working with the Chamber of Commerce. That was a very successful event afterward. We were very pleased with that. I have not gotten any contacts from Steps when I checked that.
Had a meeting last night, I think.
Yeah, so
I told Ashley I just recently told her, I said that, I'm still getting some info from Steps. They don't evidently know there's been a change.
yeah, so unless you tell them, I don't have no way of knowing even when the meetings are or anything, so.
Okay. More.
I left my note in the car, but we do have a new library director. maintenance from Missouri, but I don't want to say it right. Too much information because I left my notes. We do have one. I believe he's starting in May.
Okay,
My other two meetings haven't been around yet. They're coming up soon.
okay. Mr. Jones.
Had a PSR meeting last night and, it was brought up that their rate of taking people to the doctor and emergency rooms is really increased in this, geographic area that they serve. And they want the counties to know that that does take some pressure off the EMS, the emergency squads and all about. They're telling us folks, don't call the emergency, the rescue squad or whatever to come with. You don't feel good and want to go to a doctor. Basically, that's what that would mean. And that, they have people and vehicles that they can transport. CRC meeting, it's pretty good today. I had some information, but I don't want to say everything about it till I get some more, but I think it's going to really help us if we go for it. It'll save us some money, make us some money. I talked to a couple of supervisors there from surrounding counties, and they are considering going to twice a year, paying your taxes, and finding their own assessors, because they are having nothing but headaches on their recent tax assessments and all, not being done properly. And I said, well, that seems to be the case in a lot of areas.
Mm-hmm.
That's but I have one other thing to say, and it has nothing to do with that. Why we got a crowd out here? Because you got here, comments at the end, and I want to say it. I know they're probably not watching this board meeting on YouTube, but maybe the word to get out that my family really appreciates the pickup truck load of tires that they dumped in the edge of our cow pastures this past week. It's a truckload of tires been dumped down at the new bridge that I'm gonna have to go down there and pick them all up and dispose of them myself. I mean, it's bad enough that we have the dump site, which is great. But when you're running down the road 70 mile an hour and your trash is steady flying out, and it's your trash when you come back up the road, but you don't stop to pick it up, we police the area, pick the trash up. It's ridiculous how people are nowadays. No courtesy and common sense. I mean, them tires are just a pile of them down there. And it happened this past week.
But they're probably not from here.
Yeah. And that's
They're
the
from
problem.
outside the county, because we have them run down Greens Road and they have somebody in the back and they unroll them out while they're driving down Greens Road.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Every year.
I mean,
Wow.
it's no sense of.
Well, there will be an embassy at the landfill, tire embassy coming up.
But that's.
Well, it might be.
Still gotta go pick them up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's about 25 or 30 tires.
But I mean, I'm gonna take a second if I may. We had one, this is how bad it is. We had one a couple of years ago that our green boxes was closed. And so they went across the road and dumped it on a friend's piece of land right at the entrance to a driveway. It's timberland. Dumped it right there. Furniture, clothes, trash, the whole 9 yards. And they were from Chesterfield.
Oh, yeah. We get the power tank.
That's where it comes from.
Because I've been in the dumpster and look, oh, I know you. You're from power tanks. They throwing trash in our dumpster. And where's the guard? Thanks. It's been a long time. This is not present guard. Let me just say it.
Okay.
All right, let's move on.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Just regular meetings, had the Piedmont Regional Jail. We were down. We only had 30 residents there last month.
We saving money?
No. Social services, and we've had a couple budget workshops. All right. Brings us up to the Russell Grove lease agreement. I want to commend the school board and the Russell Grove Association. I know this has been a long process, but they have finally come to an agreement, which was really the same agreement. And we are now ready to deed the Russell Grove building back to the school board. You had the lease agreement in your package. Do you need any further information, or? I want to.
The only question I have is he good with it?
Mr. Chair, yeah, so I drafted the original deed. This has played out over a couple of years now, it seems like. So I just received that back from the school board's council this week and had a few minor changes. So the deed's ready to go. However, before the county can convey the property by state law, we have to have a public hearing that we have to advertise 7 days before the hearing.
Okay.
So we can't actually approve it tonight, but what you can do is direct staff to set it for public hearing for next month's meeting. And then you can vote to approve the conveyance next month.
Okay.
But the deed's ready to go. Everything's in place, so it's great.
Mr. Mundy, can you leave a to-do list for Mr. Eric when he gets here? 'Cause unfortunately, this is not this is your last meeting.
Hey, absolutely. We'll have the agenda set up for him and everything so he can come in to his meeting a couple of days after he arrives, just like I did back in August.
Okay. I want to thank Ms. Hicks from the Russell Grove. She put in a lot of work. And I think we've got a good outcome. So we'll look forward to finishing that up in April.
Just to be clear, so you'll go ahead and do the advertising for the public hearing before he gets,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll go ahead and notice the public hearing. We'll have the board packet set up, have the agenda set, and then, Mr. Chairman, you run the public hearing and the board's will can be taken following the public hearing.
Okay. All right, roadside sign removal agreement resolution. Presented to us by VDOT. It's pretty self-explanatory. Mr. Money, do you have anything to add?
Just a few general comments. At your February board meeting, you directed the staff to bring documents to you that would authorize a partnership through the state, through VDOT, to where the county could be the agent to remove advertising signs that are in the right of ways. And what the board would do would be entering into an agreement to do that, and the county would have authorization to remove those signs. And in the paperwork that's been drafted before you, as a placeholder, the county attorney is just going to insert county administrator in there, who would be the authorized agent, and to remove those signs. And then that could be delegated out as the county/county administrator determines who would be the best person to remove those signs. And then in order to do that, what you would do would be, there's a resolution in your board packet that you have, and you would make a motion to approve the resolution, which would authorize the chairman to execute the agreement with a VDOT commissioner. And your county attorney has worked diligently putting those documents together, reviewing a model contract that VDOT has with Chesterfield County, and Mr. Gore may want to add something to my comments.
Okay.
I think Mr. Monday captured it. So the process under state law is for the board to approve the resolution, which then authorizes the agreement. So that's all built into the resolution. So I think you can do it with one vote to approve the resolution. And that would authorize execution of the agreement. So it is a standard agreement that they use with other localities. So it was provided by VDOT. We just customize it to the county pretty much. So I think it's in good shape.
Okay. Mr. Rob, you'd like to give me a motion to approve this resolution? Since this was your baby?
I can,
That's right.
I'll make a motion to approve the I don't have all the terminology that he had, but the resolution between VDOT and the county for the chairman to direct, I guess you would say,
Execute.
execute.
Oh, nice in there.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the chairman to execute the agreement with the VDOT commissioner.
There you go.
Good job. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Motion on the floor to approve the agreement and resolution for VDOT on the roadside removal. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Nominate me to the slides up. Gotta do it tonight.
All right, that brings us to the meals tax. I know we delayed this till May 1st. We got a couple options. I'm not sure we want to take it off the table yet. What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chair, can we delay it till 7/31 of 25?
So we can have a public hearing we can have a public hearing. The only thing we can do without a public hearing is nothing, which means it'll start on May 1st. So if we want to delay it or stop it, we need to direct staff to do a public hearing next month.
Yeah, to amend the ordinance.
All right.
I would like to delay it a little longer to find out how things is gonna work out on what I'm working,
Okay.
because it may affect this.
Longer than the 7/31.
Yeah, because I know it's gonna take a little while to get things in motion, if everything works out the way, and hopefully I'll find out some more stuff next month.
Yes, sir.
Is it good with the staff to have staff set up a public hearing and we October 1st? I mean, that's
That sounds fine.
mid-year. Is that,
We'll know something by then.
is that fine with everybody?
Next year.
Be 2025. Well, yeah, it'd be next budget cycle.
That's fine. We can always decide after a public hearing to adjust that date further. So
So October, what are we going with? October?
October 1st?
2025. Yeah.
And that'll get advertised for public hearing next month.
Okay.
All right. But there's no action on that. We just advise staff to take care.
That's fine, yeah, we
We
can
good?
do it. Take it from me.
All right, that brings us to the discussion of the tax due date. We talked about this a while back. I think the consensus was possibly moving it up to like October 1st, October 5th, to get it out of the Christmas season. You have the staff summary in front of you. Comments, concerns, motions, what y'all want to do?
Well, Mr. Chair, October 15th, they want to move to November 1st. They need those extra days, is what I'm being told, to make it simple on their billing and stuff. To where they have time for some mistakes or something like that, hiccups.
That's a huge change too. For the first time, that'd be a big change.
Yeah.
Incremental move back, and that can always adjust in the future years. No, I think that seems like a smarter. Should do it small and try.
So you saying November?
November 1st instead of October 15th.
Okay.
The treasurer would prefer November 1st.
All right. Does that require a public hearing? Or is that ordinance change?
The ordinance, yeah, so we would prepare an ordinance and advertise it.
Okay. So we'll have that set up for April?
We're good with November 1st, everybody?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I know now it's December 5th. Is it a reason it's the 5th of the month? That we don't know about it? Would it be
I think
November?
that's the default in the code, I think.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me, but
Yeah, I was said it was like that for 75 years, is what I was told.
You know
Forever.
why? You know why
For
don't
the
you?
farmers.
Well, it goes back to that. Back in the day, every farm around here had tobacco.
Yeah.
And you sold your tobacco first of December. And you paid your taxes.
You had some money then.
You had money.
We gotta get it before you spend it.
I sure wish in a way I feel reason to come on when I raised it.
Do we want to go November 5th just to kind of keep it in line, or we want to go November 1st? Because now we got to tell staff.
They told me the first. And I talked to Ashley today about, because I was on hold trying to get somebody in the admin office, and it just kind of dawned on me, like smacked me in the head. We've got this nice new phone system, and you're listening to this blah music. So we can take the phone system. I'm just going back to where it's a good point, where you can make our messages, like we have a new tax date, we have a tractor parade. So they will look and find out how we can do that. So that'll also help bring the citizens up, you know.
Well,
you're all home.
like the sheriff's department, when they come on like a missing child or criminal in the neighborhood, it beeps in on your phone, whether you like it or not, it's there.
No, this would be when you're in hold calling one of the phones in the admin office, yeah.
Okay.
Instead of listening to the elevator music, you're actually getting good information.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
You don't like my comment.
The
You know-
November 1st, Jeff, is a Saturday, so when you write it up, maybe you're writing something like the first business day of November for each, that, because then it always can account for, so like.
Like the taxes, it falls on a
Right,
Saturday.
whatever way, yeah, exactly, the way that, yeah, if it's a holiday or something like that,
April 15th, if it hits on a Saturday or Sunday.
then it
goes
follows
to
to the,
6th.
goes to the
Yeah.
following
I mean,
month.
it goes to that Monday automatically.
Yes, that'd be no different than it's been on the 5th.
election day.
It just defaults.
Do what?
No.
It's election.
No, it's not, but you can.
It'll be the day,
Get
it'll
close
it'll
to
make
it.
it always fall the day before, like.
Get close.
Yeah, so like the first or the next closest, the following Monday, if that's a weekend, so.
Yes.
So it'd be November 3rd this year.
Okay.
Very advanced. He knows. Go ahead.
What?
What? Oh, no, I was just saying with the phone messaging, if we do something like that, please keep in mind we're limited staff. So make it messages that are no more frequently than maybe like a semi-annual, like or biannual.
I think people will be calling to say, hey, put me on hold so I can catch up what's going on.
Tax dates or things that are annually due or repetitive.
Man, we might as well get our money's worth out of it.
That's right. I agree.
Get some good valuable information.
I
feel like elevator resources.
Are we straight on the tax date, staff?
I think we got enough to go to
Yes.
prepare an ordinance. So.
All right. Mr. Easter, you had this on the agenda?
Yeah, so the next one is regarding our human resources and finance committees. So the intention of those was to designate point people. And as we discussed when we made these, it was not that we would regularly have meetings. But due to some confusion that seems to have caused, what we'd like to recommend is that we officially dissolve the committees themselves. Again, as originally intended, they haven't been meeting and don't expect to meet. Dissolve the committees and then make them simply, like the original intent really was, point people for that. So it was to facilitate conversation, efficiency with staff. So we'd leave the same people then in those point positions. So Benji and I are as the point representatives from the board for human resources, and Todd and I as the representatives at one point to work with staff on finance. It obviously doesn't mean others cannot have conversations on those, but to help where staff knows a starting point for conversation, or if y'all need something kind of work back, then you can push us to take care of those. So.
Okay. Can I make one?
You can do anything.
You get ready to make a motion. Can I make one?
Yeah.
suggestion, let's do the IT committee the same way so that all three committees operate in the same manner.
Not committees, dissolving.
Dissolve, not, yeah, whatever you want to call these things, all three will be the same.
Can I ask one
Point
question now? Are you gonna, does that mean you'll stop having meetings related to IT?
We will handle them the same way as a point person. If somebody has an issue, I think staff still gonna have them. But if somebody has an issue, then they would go to a point person, myself or Dexter, and we will send it to staff and get answers.
All right, so I make a motion to dissolve the Human Resources, Finance, and IT committees, leaving the existing people who were designated for those as board point people for staff to interact with.
Okay? Motion on the floor. Does everybody understand that? I'm not gonna try to repeat it. Any more discussion, question? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Clean it up.
All right, let's go back to the three items two items we had. Discussion on emergency vehicle. I'll start off a little bit. We had an accident with one of the units the other day. No providers were hurt, no patient was hurt. But that left us short. We were already down. We had 5 units, that would put us down, and there's one in the shop, and then this one being in an accident, that got us to 3 units.
I thought it was 2 in the shop.
I think one is intermittently for minor stuff.
They pulled that one out, so we would have,
That's what I'm.
yeah, they pulled it out, so we would have 3.
That is a critical spot for a couple of reasons. One reason we don't have one is something else goes down. And second reason, we contract and pay providers to be on 3 units during the day. And if those units our providers are on them, it'd have to be a choice. What are the volunteers going to ride? I think the volunteers need an opportunity to have a unit to ride them. So we looked around, talked to a couple of vendors and seen what was out there, and we located a used ambulance. It's a 2018 Dodge Cummins truck.
50.
We had somebody go look at it. I am by no means saying we need to build a fleet of used ambulances. I think that'd be a bad move. But in the pickle that we're in, I think this would be a good investment. The price is $60,000. It's a 2018, got 100,000 miles on it. Where it's coming from, those folks have a lot of money. They replace them, no questions asked, at 100,000 miles. But this unit's probably still got a lot of life into it. So that's 60,000. It would take no more than 10,000 to get it in service. And that requires lettering, because you have to have our lettering on it per state code for EMS vehicle. And some minor equipment. I don't think it's gonna take 10, but up to 10. And that would be 70,000. This will be owned by Amelia. The one that was recently wrecked, it looks like it's gonna be total. So that one is owned by the squad, emergency squad, and they will figure that out. But this one gets us to a place that we have an extra unit. There is another unit for breakdowns and for the squad that volunteers to ride. And this unit, if we pass this, could be in service, running calls in about a week and a half.
We're supposed to be getting a new one in October, right?
Our new one doesn't come here till October, and that would get us back up to 5 units. And then whatever the squad, I have to write it on paper, but that certainly gonna help the situation. So I'm asking that we make this appropriation to emergency management of up to 70,000. 60 would be for the unit itself, and 10 would be for the upfit of the unit to run calls.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Who is going to own the new unit?
The county.
Okay, being that's been said, I think we need to investigate or get a policy in this county that all vehicles that is taxpayers' money paying for, there's a priority one when they break down, when they go to a shop for emergency services. So we won't get back in these kind of problems again in the future. That vehicle's got to be worked on instead of sitting there 6 and 7 months before we found out I can't fix it. That puts this county in a jam. It could have been took somewhere else and it could have got fixed. Nothing is impossible.
I think we do have, Mr. Judge, I think we do have that has been addressed. They are
Well,
several
I won't say that.
businesses that can do that for us. Mr. Money, you got anything to add to this?
Mr. Chairman, I think you did a good job of teeing up the issue. And I will admit, from an administration's point of view, when that ambulance was wrecked, and then the one with the two that we had in the shop, the county was in a real bind. When the citizens pick up the phone to call 911, they expect a deputy or a firefighter or a paramedic, whatever the case is. In order to provide reliable service, you got to have an adequate fleet of vehicles. I did call Mr. Gore about it because in my mind, it constituted an emergency purchase because, in order to buy an ambulance, you're looking at a 2.5 to 3 year lead time to buy a new ambulance. I think this is a good bridge gap. It's a short-term strategy. So when the citizens call 911, you're more than likely to have a reliable ambulance coming. I think it's a good strategy. I agree with the chairman. I don't think it's a good practice overall to build a fleet on used vehicles. I was talking to the emergency management personnel today, and as far as strategic planning goes for the county, the board might want to think about getting another ambulance in queue, knowing that it takes so long to get them in. You look at the fleet that we use, we have a great relationship with the emergency squad in order to do the arrangement that we do. I think it's very creative partnership that's out there. But I do think you're on the right track. I think this is an emergency on behalf of the county in order to get this vehicle in service as quickly as possible. And I think it's a good move by the board to make the appropriation.
I mean, can't remember his name, terrible with names, but he actually drove it.
Mr. Barry, I don't know if Mr. Barry is here tonight.
He drove it, went through it all. Everything was working. I mean, he nitpicked everything down to where there's a little tear spot in the driver's seat and a little dent on one of the fenders. But I mean, other than that, he said that was it.
$100,000
So I would make a motion that we move forward, spend up to $70,000 max to purchase this used Dodge ambulance.
Okay. Gentlemen's motion on the floor to make this allocation and purchase this ambulance. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you, gentlemen.
Then we have to figure out how to pay for it. Maybe I can take donations. Anybody want to donate to the ambulance purchase?
No, well, I don't want to get that share.
All right, let's bring it. Second thing is the committee appointments. We've got a list. Actually, I had 3 on this list. And 4 counting the landfill. What do you have, Amelia? I would like to have these appointments done in April. That's 2 months before their due date. And then most of them go out in June, and most of them go out in December. So if we do a round in April to get everybody up to date, we'll do a second round in October to catch the ones that go at the end of the year. So if we could work on finding either reappointing the folks or filling the vacancies in your district, that would be good.
Well, Michael Bates is already reappointed. He's not in the red. We did that prior.
You need to get with Ms.
Well, Larkin Boy, I just reappointed him last spring.
I'm not saying the list is right. I'm just
Okay.
saying this
I
list,
thought this was the new one that was correct.
well, it's work in progress.
Okay.
But let's look at it and make our appointments in April. And if it's a new appointment, they can send out some type of resume, bio. And I don't know if the person's got to write it, the supervisor could write it for his candidate.
Yeah, I had asked if Travis be one for reappointment this month. I thought that's what you were gonna. Get that one.
Did I miss that, Mr. Easter? I missed that.
I didn't send it to you, so. When would Michael Bates have been reappointed? Because he didn't expire, so.
No, I don't know if that date is correct because he,
Dates off.
yeah, I think the dates are off.
I ain't 100%. So what we didn't do, Michael and Travis all at one
At
time,
the same time.
one day, 1 month last year, but I can't find it in the minutes. So
Because I wasn't sure he was up anyhow. Because I thought he was doing a full term.
okay.
So I don't know.
Well, let's dig down deep in it. If you find, you can get with staff. If you find you do have a vacancy in your district, let's take care of those in April.
Exactly. So many of them are not by district, so what are we doing with them? I mean,
Well,
most of them are just not by district.
It's supposed to be.
The planning commission is,
Yeah, planning's by district. It just hadn't been filled in.
the EDA is not,
EDA's
at large.
at large, and that's even out of county.
Maplewood is by district.
Yep.
I think library is too.
Board of Zoning Appeals is by district, which all that's there. Social Service Board, that I thought was by district.
All right, well, if someone wants to fill it in and send it back, then we can start working.
Okay. All right.
But I'm not gonna commit to doing it by April based on the information we have, because that's what I'm saying.
Okay. That's fine.
I don't know all of it. No, like I don't know which ones are all by district. and which ones aren't. Like,
Because Mr. Worsham, when his term was up, he wanted to find a replacement. He made a recommendation of the replacement. So Michael should have been a 4-year term, correct? For planning. So see, we shouldn't even have to reappoint him prior.
All I'm saying is we have vacancies on committees that we should be easily to fill. So let's work with staff. If you have a vacancy, if it's an at-large committee,
But we need to get the dates straight then. And what district they go to. So we need to
if
get
it's
all that.
if it's an at-large committee, it doesn't matter.
That's right. But planning's not.
The numbers are not.
Well, basically something's being at slot.
Yeah.
Is it at large or at a district or?
Well, Travis and Jennifer are in your district.
yeah, but let's go through and work them. Let's get it all filled in and send it back. Right.
But I think we need to get the dates straight. And to be honest with you, we probably ought to change this anyhow and get it all straight so the dates of that work with the dates of the Board of Supervisor elections or whatever. Instead of doing all this off the wall stuff.
I don't know if it's off the wall. That's the way it's been done. I think some of them have moved.
Yeah, I don't know that it has to.
Just make it simple. Everything's done at one time.
They need to. It's not as simple as that. Like, I mean, when the board members, for example, fill unexpired terms, it gets off, it's gonna get off.
Yeah, but that's still, you would know that say that I was on the planning commission and I decided to get off 2 years in, you knew I was back up for a renewal. When, say I was in your district, that you were coming up for reelection.
some of them have to go into their bylaws and things too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
that is not as simple. That is not a simple change.
And some by law have staggered terms, so
Yeah.
you can't just reset them to be the same.
Yeah, but they're still staggering to the elections though.
And it's staggered based on when the boards or commissions were constituted, so you'd have to basically dissolve them and reset them.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some 25s and 26s and 27s. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, I'll work with Ms. Gunn and show her a good format to establish it to where you always know the terms. We'll take care of it.
Okay. All right, Mr. Monday. You got some things in your report?
A few things, Mr. Chairman, for the waste management fee for the month of February, as you know, is a lot of cold, snow and ice. Tonnage was down. Our check was just over $155,000 for February. The other report, CRC, DMV, Community Services Board, all that is in your board packet. Tab 18, you have an FYI. We told you each month we would update you on appropriations that the staff has the authority to catch up. The two that we had this month was the sheriff recovered some overtime cost. And also there was an insurance reimbursement for Baycorp for just over $6,000. And again, we do those administratively to get the budget caught up. And then the last thing, Mr. Chairman, that I'll say, next to the last thing that I'll say is we were fortunate enough to find a community development director who has accepted an employment offer, and he will start working for the county on May 5th. He is experienced. He's been a director at another locality, and we'll do a news release on that as it gets a little bit closer. We just want to let you know that, we continued looking for candidates. We've been working really hard trying to find a finance director, but we're very fortunate to find an experienced community development director. He comes with experience working with the BZA, Planning Commission, and the Board of Supervisors. I think you'll find that he'll do a good job for the county. And then lastly, Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank the board for the opportunity to serve as your interim county administrator. It's been my pleasure to work with you, to get to know each and every one of you. I have 3 weeks left, Mr. Robinson. 3 weeks and 1 day. I'm gonna keep talking then. I want to see it. It is, but I have enjoyed my time here. My priorities, for the rest of my time is to get a balanced budget to you, to work with a transition with Mr. Pilot, and then continue the day-to-day operations with you. But again, thank you for the opportunity to serve, and I'll cherish the friendships that I've gained in Amelia. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Monday. I'll start this one off, and I'm going to just thank him again for coming here. He's definitely showed us a lot of places we could make improvements, and he's been pretty busy. He's been pretty busy the last couple of weeks.
Oh, that's.
But yeah, I'm glad you found me and Amelia found you.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Look forward to working the next couple of weeks with you, and I know I'm not taking someone of Joseph's thunder, but thank you everybody for coming out to the tractor parade. That was a cool thing. I think everybody enjoys that, and look at the good crowd. Be safe and enjoy the weather.
Mr. Jones.
Well, I said most of what I needed to say a while ago, but I want to wish Clarence the best. He is a real fine person from what I've gathered and what little time I've got to know him. I wish I could have known him a whole lot longer. He's been a breath of fresh air to this county. And we are going to miss Clarence because he's been so cool and level-headed on all situations. And he's easy to talk to. And he's just an old South Side Virginia boy, and they're the best.
That lives in the
They
beach.
are the best. And I know he's gonna love the margaritas on the beach at Myrtle Beach when he's back home.
Thank you.
Mr. Easter.
It's coming.
I'm looking forward to my Myrtle Beach vacation in July because I'm confident I'll get to run into him.
Drop by and see me.
I think it's been said well, you know, we're gonna miss you, appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Can you talk, Mr. Robinson? I mean, I don't want you to get teared up.
I know, I'm kind of choked up because I really do like Mr. Monday. He's done a lot for the county. You did make a mistake though by giving me your personal cell phone number. Because it is locked into my phone now. Yeah, well, you can change it, but we can find it. And I do appreciate everything you've done. And I do look forward to our new county administrator starting. He'll be here the next meeting. So we can turn a new page, but I do appreciate everything that you've done for us. And as far as for the citizens, enjoy spring. It's coming. Hopefully it stays this time. It doesn't flip back on us. And be safe.
Mr. Chairman. Clarence.
Yes, sir.
We have many events in this county. You're always welcome. And don't feel like a stranger. In the future, you can come here and enjoy our county's hospitality, because we, personally, myself, I feel like you're one of us.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
And you still don't want the job.
Youth, you've been replaced with youth, a good energetic leader. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but age and wisdom, very bad.
All right, gentlemen, if there's nothing else, motion to adjourn. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. We appreciate you too, Jeff.